We have another Ask 5 mashup. It's question number 4. What inspires you today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast?
You've reached the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. And now your hosts, Jan O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. This is episode 257. You can find all of those show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Jan O'Brien is out wandering this week, so I'm flying solo in the podcast studio, and it has been so much fun editing these Ask 5 mashups along the way. These 12 guests that we had throughout season 1 of the Ask 5 series have all been inspirational in their own right. But when you take them and dissect them and have them all answer the same questions, boom, 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 right in a row, gosh, it's just great to see how great minds think. And, just hear the different responses they had. This particular mashup is no different. You're going to get some great intel and insights on books, on podcasts, on people, on personal inspiration. It's really a great show. Like I said, they've been really fun to edit, and I hope you're having as much fun watching them. If you want more information on all or each of our guests from season 1, just go to the show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. There's individual bios in each one of the guest participants, as well as contact information, links to their social and LinkedIn feeds and websites to their companies and all of that. So sit back and enjoy all of that. So we have had a couple, Jan and I, we talk about inspiration and mindset and everything all the time here on the podcast and in WBNL coaching. We did a couple podcasts back earlier, 127 and 128. Both of those, we did the top 10 books for business and personal development. So if you want more information, go back and listen to those 2 podcasts. They were both very, very good. We'll put links to the show notes to those in there. And back in during COVID, in episode 162, we did the 10 ways to cope for COVID fatigue. And that title might not sound very appealing nowadays, but at the same time, it really was all about, getting some inspiration, turning the negative feelings positive, and ways you can get up, get out, and explore and all of that kind of thing, and really get yourself back into the mindset. Personally, as far as inspiration goes, it really is all about getting up and getting out and getting back to nature. And I'll tell you, it's great to always learn, because we believe, everybody should believe, right, that you've never really stopped learning in your life. But you have a lot inside you that sometimes gets hidden or kind of pushed down over time and during different parts and different times in your life. And I just know that for me personally, if I just get out of my environment, get out into nature, go for a hike, go for a walk, just get up and get out, it really starts to let my own juices flow and really lets me tap into things in my own head and things that I've learned along my life to get me back on track. And it really is inspirational for me. So to me, probably the most inspirational thing is getting out in Mother Nature. It doesn't have to be going on some vacation to a national park, although Lord knows, as you probably know, I love doing that. But no, just getting out and going for a walk, right? Just clearing your head, getting away from the machine, I guess, really. And even a book, really, just to be with yourself as one, really is what really inspires me. But enough about me, enough about all this other stuff. Let's get to the pack from season 1 and see what they had to say and what inspires them.
What's inspirational to you, whether it's people, books, podcasts, anything, or something that's maybe recent inspiration for you that you share?
So, I'm a huge reader. I read all the time. And so, I can give you my sort of holy trinity of books. And then I'll give you a bonus book that has nothing to do with real estate, but is a great book for how we train people.
I want to hear it.
So, Chance Brown Book Club.
So, again, chancebrown.com, you can see my reading list. But my holy trinity of books is, number 1, Ninja Selling. It's the easiest, most simple way to just sell real estate and have a 9-point to-do list every day that's going to help you build your business. And it's got logical ways to talk to people. It's just a smart book. Number 2 is 7 levels of communication. I'm a huge fan of 7 levels because I think 7 levels is what selling. It's what selling was before the internet. It's that relationship, person to person based business, and it's also written by a top performing real estate agent. And then the number 3 is atomic habits.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the results of what you do are the results of the habits you have and how you're working. And so those are kind of my top 3. Now, I'll throw an extra bonus at you that I was listening on the worst family vacation I've ever taken. I was listening to a book to drown out my children called The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. And he mentioned this guy in there that owned these high-end restaurants and some of the really great things they did from a culture standpoint. And so I sought this guy out when I got back in front of a computer. And I watched his TED Talk, and it was the most boring TED Talk I've ever watched. And then I bought his book. And it's a book called Setting the Table by Danny Meyer, who, if you live outside of New York City, you know Danny Meyer because he started Shake Shack. Which was a charity project.
Right.
No way. We got one of those here now.
Project. Now they're everywhere, right? Like 2,000 locations. But he owns 11 Madison Park and some of the really high-end restaurants in New York. And it is about how to bring hospitality to your business, the ideals of hospitality to your business. And it's a great book.
Wow, man, we got some serious nuggets here today from the master. All right.
That's right. And it makes me want to have a shake burger. My wife and I had a shake burger last week, and it makes me very hungry thinking about that again. So there you go.
Okay, I love it.
I'm just saying. We used to go to New York all the time before the pandemic. We got off track after the pandemic, but he's got a great story to tell, and he's got some great restaurants in New York too. So yeah, actually I didn't know I'm gonna read that book. That sounds
it's a good one.
Well, you always are reading books.
I think I have it right here.
I'm always interested to know what you have to say on that.
Here it comes.
We should ask Jenny, what's currently inspiring you?
Yeah.
Well, currently it's Rachel Hollis. She's my. Hang on, if you can see her.
Can you hold the book up a little bit higher? I just want to see the title.
All right, hold on. There we go.
Girls, stop apologizing. Okay, girl, stop apologizing.
It's a shame-free plan for embracing and achieving your goals. So I love a good romance novel every once in a great while if I'm on vacation. But honestly, you need some sort of who motivates us? Yeah, I'm motivating, but nobody motivates me. I'm too busy to go find it. Brian, absolutely. One of the things that I love so much is that we incorporated is I do every 2 weeks, we have a group of us and we meet and discuss working relationally, everything. And we listen to a podcast. You guys, Jan, we hire you and Matt every year to do our business planning. You have to have go-tos in your life. But aside from Brian, I loved Darren Hardy. I listened to just so great. And
the Darren Daily.
So good. Yeah, Darren Daily. I just love it. There's so many, but believe it or not, I'm very inspired by some of the brokers I've met in my industry, because just because we're competitors doesn't mean that we can't, role play together and ask each other what's working, what's not working, because we're all in the same boat.
Beyond your podcast inspiring me, I do. I'm a Sam Harris follower. So it's a Waking Up podcast. Sam Harris is a neuroscientist from UCLA who's written some really great books. He's a meditator, but also a really big thinker. And so I think people would like that. In terms of videos, I'm always pushing Simon Sinek, Why? So I show that once a year. I think that's valuable. And there's Art Williams was an insurance salesman, and there's a video out that I show every year called Just Do It. It was back in the 60s, I think it feels, and it's a fantastic 5-minute video. So that's the video wise. In terms of what we're reading, we are a ninja company. I've been a ninja guy for years. Larry Kendall, I think, kind of the antithesis of cold calling and the kind of the KW approach, a numbers game. It's very thoughtful approach to real estate, which resonated with me. And then I actually have right here is Exactly What to Say, and that's a fantastic book. You've probably seen it, but it's
I love it.
That's a great book. Yeah. So Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones and Jimmy Macklin and Timmy Smith are in here as well.
Oh yeah, I love those
Jimmy
guys.
Smith. Yeah, they're good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they're all in here, and Exactly What to Say and it's each little 2-page chapter is on the way to say something. And so it's bite size, which we all need these days with the onset of limited attention, but so it works well.
Number one, it's my kids. They're my biggest cheerleaders, my biggest supporters, and they believe in me more than I believe in myself. So if I'm talking to my older son and I'm like, oh my God, like I have to do this, I have to do that, he looks at me like, so what? You got this. I'm like, damn, like, he really thinks that I got this with that much confidence that I have to get this just because that's how much they believe in me. So for me, number one is always been my kids since day one, even before I got into real estate. And then there's actually, I don't know if you heard of him, Gary Vay. He's on social media. He's big on doing your thing and not worry about anyone else. Don't worry about what other people say. Don't worry, like you do you, and don't do it because it's gonna bring you money. Do it because it's gonna bring you happiness, because you're gonna enjoy doing it. I remember one of his quotes that always like pops into my head is, yesterday's results don't mean today or tomorrow will be the same. So
Love it. He's inspiring. He's no nonsense. He's like in your face. I love watching his social stuff. I agree.
Yes, he's awesome. And I truly love that quote from him, because let's say today has been great. Don't count on because today has been great, tomorrow is going to be great, or the day after is going to be great. You're still going to have to work as hard for the day after and the day after and the day after. And also at the same time, if today didn't work out for you, doesn't mean that tomorrow is going to be the same. Like, just take it one day at a time type of idea. So I love that about him.
I have a couple of, it's interesting. I don't follow the real estate people so much. It's like their path is their path. I really look at business owners, and I really see, as a general rule, there are people that I want to fashion myself after. There's a couple of business owners that I highly respect and I admire. I actually reach out to a couple of them on a regular basis as I get further along in this business as a business owner. And one of the top brokerages in Charlotte, I want to always make sure that I am being a good leader, that I'm being a kind and compassionate but firm leader, that my integrity is always as good as I can make it. And some of this is books. We do a book club. We do several books a year and they're not really real estate based, but I made them win How to Win Friends and Influence People. And we have the discussions, and there's a lot of the books that we read. But I've got one now that I'm reading. It's about growth and new beginnings after trauma. It's by one of my agents that actually published this book. Wow. And so I find inspiration from a lot of different sources. Wow. But I think you look to your peers and you look to other business leaders and you try to figure out who do I want to be like. Yeah. Right. When I was learning to ski, that's exactly what I did. And I became an accomplished ski instructor just by finding the ones that I wanted to be like and doing what they did.
Excellent.
And so I think it's very simple. And then if, ask questions. I'm always an open book. If anyone wants to ask me how to get better at anything, I'm good at telling you. I'm not necessarily good at doing it, but I can absolutely tell you. And you can get it done a lot quicker if don't do it the way I did it. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes it's do as I say, not as I do.
Do as I say. That's my dad used to say that all the time, and it was so funny, man. And now I'm older, I really get it now. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
That's
funny. All right.
So my favorite book is Jim Collins' Good to Great.
I know that one.
Absolutely love it. And, you know, if you haven't read it, spoiler alert, the whole premise of it is the most successful companies, the companies that do better above, you know, that do greater than other companies in the same industry, they're led by humble leaders, right? Humility is hugely important. You know, and you give an example, like what happened if Elon Musk tomorrow gets hit by a bus, right? Like what's going to happen to Tesla, right? You know, or like if you're around in the 80s, Lee Iacocca with Chrysler, right? He did so great with Chrysler. And then the moment Iacocca left, like Chrysler, like, I mean, they're barely around anymore, right? They're part of Fiat or something now. I don't even know, like literally don't even know what's happened to them. Like, so, you know, but the companies that have humble leadership has continued to grow and be successful. And they have some weird examples like steel companies and CVS. But when you look at the stock reports and their health, they're far and above everyone else. And nobody knows who those CEOs are. Like you have no idea, but on Fox News or MSNBC or whatever you watch, right? They're just doing the job, raising leaders behind them and loving people. So Good to Great, been phenomenal for me. I listen to a lot of economics podcasts. I'm a kind of a nerd. I'm a mathlete, right? So I love that kind of stuff. And then just I get a little break listening to some hockey podcasts. So not really, I love.
Are you a Canuck fan?
Yeah,
I was a Canuck fan growing up.
Of course, but you got to be a Vegas, but you got to go. Like I'm a Boston fan because I grew up with Boston, but so I'm kind of excited about how well they're doing, to be honest.
Amazing.
But you know what? I got to say, you are the level 5 leader. There it is.
Exactly.
And that's what's in that book, right? Matt and I know this book real well. And the thing that you just said is, so I've got goosebumps talking to you about this because it's rare to find somebody like you, because the level 5 leadership thing, if you remember, you know, in the book says great leaders look in the mirror when things don't go right, and they look outside to everyone around them when they go great, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is who you are. I know that, and I can see that, and you live your life that way, which is brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay, the thing that's really inspired me the most in my life is the failure. The people, they fail in life, not the succeed, because they are succeed, they already there. The people, they fail, that the one inspired me every single day. Why? Because I learned from their experience why they fail, and I try to avoid the mistake they made. And it doesn't matter what kind of business. They could be actors, singers, business people, real estate, doctors, attorneys. It doesn't matter. You know, everybody, when they make big, like, bad mistake or bad judgment, I learn to avoid that. And I learned this from Tony Robson, what I'm going to share with you now. He said, why successful people, they always succeed? And why? The reason they succeed, because they make the right decision. And the right decision comes from bad decision. So that's why I learn. Instead, I make the bad decision. I learn why the other people, they made the bad decision. And then I avoid that in my life.
Cool.
Does this make sense?
Yeah,
yes, 100%. I didn't see that one coming. I like it.
You know, the things that inspire me the most, and I think one of the things that's changed my life the most, is people who overcome great obstacles, right? That hero's journey. And I remember I was at a Tony Robbins event. I was young, and you know, it's funny. You spent a lot of money. I really didn't have anywhere to use any of this knowledge yet. I didn't realize 10 years out I would need it, and it would come when I called, right, for it. But he kept talking about, like, the greater the obstacle, or the bigger the obstacle, the greater the hero. So when people, and guess what? We're all heroes, and we all have our obstacles, whether they're out in front of anyone. Like, we're still going through our own stuff, but we're the heroes of our own journey. So when I see, or I'm able to have a conversation that's vulnerable and real, and I hear people's story, that is the most inspiring thing, and it juices me up. It fills me up more than anything else in this world. So, you know, as far as people, you know, my father, just watching him, because he, you know, my longest relationship, even knowing all his faults, some of the things that he's done that that I know isn't a front, isn't, any BS, it's real. That's inspiring to me, but the hero's journey for sure.
I think what inspires me more than anything is the contribution that I can make to the individual.
Yeah.
And, I'm a spiritual guy, so that's my main inspiration, and that's what keeps me grounded and moving forward. But it's not about me, it's about them. And it's about what I can contribute to them. And then to watch them, have defining moments in their business where they just grow and it's an aha, or they, I've had people, they start brand new and they end up buying a brand new car, or they end up buying a house, and then they have a family, and then they grow and they build wealth. And that's what turns me on, honestly.
Whew. So I have a long list. However, what's really speaking to me right now at this moment today is, believe it or not, and she just is so real, as Mel Robbins. And I'm listening to her new Audible right now, which is called Reinvent Your Life.
I love it. And isn't she the 5-minute person?
Yes. 5-second rule.
5-second rule, rather, like deal with it.
Get rid of it. Another 5, yeah.
Yeah, it's another 5, right? There you go. Totally. Okay, I love that. So she's got something new. I haven't looked at her stuff in a while.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't normally, and I'm listening to the Audible, right? So I'm not reading the book, but I'm listening to the Audible, and it's an Audible original, so I don't know that you can get it anywhere else. It's probably a deal that she has with them. And she was really afraid to start a podcast. After all the great things that she's done in the books she's written, she really hesitated for 2 years. And it talks about getting in the driver's seat of your life versus being the passenger all the time. And so there's a great metaphor about her family taking a trip to the Grand Canyon and taking 2 weeks. I don't know where they were from at the time. I didn't catch that. But I really didn't want that Audible. I didn't want it to end because it has material in there that not only is speaking to me in a very loud voice, but how many people can I take that message to in a clearer way than I've ever put it, right? To help others to get out of their own way.
I have some amazing mentors. Jan, I've always looked at you as a mentor. You and I have bounced ideas off of each other.
Absolutely.
I was brought up in the industry by some amazing mentors, and they have always left the communication line open for me to kind of tap into that, just to kind of make sure, because this business has evolved. When you've been in it as long, owner operators that are doing things from 30 years ago, basics will work, but it's changed. The agent has changed, right? So much of it when we started were a lot of part-timers, right? Today it's a lot of people have looked at this as a profession, as a business. They operate way differently. So you have to be able to make sure that you're changing with the times and being on top of it. So it's going to our agents. It's really asking them, what can we do better here? And I know if they're coming and they have some answers and some solutions, the loyalty that they have towards us, they're helping us grow. And so I have to look at things sometimes a little bit differently. And that's my approach through recruiting. And that's my approach through coaching and through retention, is just through tapping into the people that have helped us get where we are. I think that's really been big for us.
Anything that's
wine.
Or wine? Okay, yeah. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, what's your favorite streaming
I find
show right now?
Matt always helps me think better.
Right. See, that was very good advice.
I said at the top of the show that there are probably 2 people who have influenced me in real estate. Other than the fact that, Tom Ferry, all of the real estate gurus on that level, and of Brian Ferry, by business by referral, all of those. I think I've taken small parts of what I feel they offer and incorporated it into sort of my larger foundation of real estate. But 2 people, honestly, Jan and Matt, I'm not just smokescreening here, but you 2 have both been very influential in my real estate business. And then, I, as Jan knows, I watch a lot of TED Talks. I'm a certified mediator. Jan and I just wrote a class on Mediations 101, conflict resolution. So there's some amazing, our business is a lot about resolving conflicts, right? Conflicts between other agents and your clients and your broker and all of that. So it's a great, there's a great video out there for that. TED Talks, I think, Brene Brown, there's just a lot of meat there to whatever kind of way you want to go.
Wow, great stuff. I'm telling you, just listening to what inspires other people can really help you kind of click into finding what your inspiration is, or really helps to identify and firm up what your inspiration is. So great stuff from our season 1 people. Once again, you can find all of their information, all their contact info over on the show notes at WBNLpodcast.com, episode 157. Well, we're rolling into Q4 almost of 2023, and we've got some great shows ahead of us. Next week in episode 258, we have Tammy Harrison. She is a mortgage branch manager in Las Vegas, and she's going to come on and talk. We haven't talked to any mortgage people on the podcast this year, so it'll be really nice to jump in there, find out what's going on in the market today, just kind of get to, pick her brain as far as where she thinks the market's going next year. So that's going to be a great one. Coming up really quickly here, we have the launch finally of our Real Estate Sales Builder Certification course. Jen and I are just putting the finishing touches on that finally. I know we've been talking about that for a long time, but that'll be out. We're going to launch it actually here live on the podcast. We have Rich Brodkin coming up, a man who built an incredible team in the Las Vegas area, actually sold that team. So he's one of the people that actually built the team and actually used it as an exit strategy. So we're going to hear from Rich. We have Lori Namazi, a longtime fan of the show and guest on the show. She's going to be back, telling some of the new experience she's had. And she's working more and closely related with California Association of Realtors and Women's Council and all of that. Lori's always got some great stuff going on. And we have quite a few other special guests lined up that are going to be coming up here at the end of the year, along with our gratitude show that we do every November. We're going to do some business planning. We're going to talk about how you can finish the year strong. And then our year review. So, so quickly it's going to be 2024. So, like I said, we're going to be starting some business planning talk here, not only on the show, but also in our weekly coach tip emails. And if you're not on our weekly coach tip email list, go to our website, and you can sign up to get on that list because a lot of our business planning is actually going to be done through that communication this year. Anyway, I know Jen O'Brien's having a good time out there wandering, and I want everyone else to get up, get out, live the life you've dreamed, and be forever wandering, but not lost.